Hey guys, welcome back to Rossoneri TV. I'm Gio and I'm here yet again for another AC Milan news live stream where I'll be giving you the latest news and transfer rumors currently going on at the club. The main news today is that Deulofeu is once again the main talk of discussion as AC Milan have given in a final offer for Deulofeu to Everton today. We will be talking exactly about that. As usual, please leave your comments. Let me know what you think about these updates concerning Deulofeu in the comments section below, as I'll be reading them once I finish reporting today's news. But getting back to what I said before, Galliani did mention today that they have made a final offer. He sent in an email to Everton containing this final offer, and now Milan is open to actually having a loan with the option to buy the player. Now, I did mention this already yesterday, but initially what Milan wanted from Everton was for them to accept a dry loan, and that means just no option to buy. The player will arrive at Milan until the end of June. And will stay there until the end of June, and then the player would just go back to Everton. Now, Everton obviously didn't want that. They wanted to offer Milan only a loan plus obligation to buy, meaning that they would be forced to purchase the player once the loan ends in June. Milan said no, but they want to do a loan with a loan option to buy the player. That means having an option, having a choice after the loan is done in June. Now, like I said, initially Everton wasn't open to this proposal from Milan, but they now seem to have accepted the fact that they are open to send Deulofeu out on loan with the option to buy. Galliani did say that this is the final offer that we're making for Deulofeu. Now all we have to do is wait and see what happens. Moving on, they also said, some sources mentioned, such as Milan News, they mentioned that Milan is actually willing to pay 500,000 euros to Everton just to get Deulofeu on loan. So they want to include some incentives there so that Everton could bite on and possibly accept this offer. And it seems to be that the Chinese are okay with this. Like I stated several times over the course of the past few weeks, every market operation that goes through or could potentially go through has to go through the Chinese's opinion as well. They need to have the final say if they want to either sell a player, get a player on loan, buy a player. Just every decision that has to do with the transfer market, the Chinese need to have their say as well. And it seems to be that the Chinese have actually accepted this fact of, giving some money to Everton for the loan, and that is 500,000 euros. And this money will not be coming from their pockets. As a matter of fact, it will be pretty much the money that was received from Spartak Moscow for Luis Adriano, which is supposed to be around €1 million for those of you who are still asking what that price is. So with that money that they received from Luis Adriano's departure, they will use it to consider paying Deulofeu's loan to Everton, which is once again 500,000 euros. Finally, I wanted to speak about the option to buy, because as we all know, when you want a player with a loan plus option to buy, you have to set a price. And that is probably what Everton and Milan are currently working at right now. So they're currently working on managing, or at least stating, a price in which Deulofeu would possibly be able to join Milan on full terms. That means becoming a permanent player in the summer. And some sources such as Calciomercato are actually stating that it could be 18 million euros what Milan might have to pay in order to buy Deulofeu on a permanent basis this summer. Now, to me, I think 18 million euros is quite a lot of money. Not quite sure if Deulofeu is worth 18 million euros. I've been looking at his past history in the past few seasons, and despite the fact that he does provide a lot of assists and he's definitely influential in his passing abilities, he just doesn't score that many goals. And personally, I don't know if it's worth it to buy him for 18 million euros. The only way that I could see this being worth it is if we sell Niang and we do generate at least 10 to 15 million, then I would have no problem in spending that money for Deulofeu. Of course, this is all to be seen because the player hasn't even joined Milan officially. Talks are still ongoing. We don't know if Deulofeu will join or not just yet. But it's still something to consider when we do have an option to buy him, and we have to look at which price really has been set by Everton if we want to purchase him in the summer. So personally, I think 18 million is a lot, like I said, but I think it could be okay if we do manage to sell Niang for a respectable price tag, and by that I mean not giving him away like we did with other players. So I think if we could generate 10 to 15 million for Niang, then there shouldn't really be a problem to sign Deulofeu for that price, if he obviously performs well, if he arrives. Lots of ifs that we're still trying to clear up to see if Everton will accept this loan plus option to buy. But we're definitely going to be seeing that very, very soon. We're expecting maybe some answers later tonight. In just a couple of hours, we might be getting some developments. I think Everton is currently thinking it over, and by tomorrow, I do believe that we should have a final answer, a final response, whether Deulofeu will become a Milan player or not. But let me know, guys, in the comment section below, what do you think about Deulofeu possibly coming to Milan? Of course, he has been the talk of many weeks now, and pretty much the only player that Milan are currently going after. So if Deulofeu does not arrive, it will probably be no one coming to Milan this winter. So let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys think about this loan plus option to buy? Are you guys okay with the fact that we might have to pay Everton 500,000 euros, which is no big deal at the end of the day, since it's not even coming out of our pockets, and it's coming out from the Luis Adriano sale? Also, let me know exactly what you guys think about that buyout option. Is it just way too much for Deulofeu? 18 million euros, is it too much for him? Should we try to negotiate another option besides the 18 million? Meaning, should we maybe let Everton, demand something less, try to influence them to lower their price that is set for Deulofeu or not? Let me know all of that in the comment section below, as I'll be reading your comments in just a few moments. Like I said, not much to talk about today besides Deulofeu. That is pretty much all that is left in this transfer window. But regarding Donnarumma, there are some general talk regarding Donnarumma, which I already mentioned yesterday. His agent does want to wait until the Chinese take over in order to see what they could offer him on wages and so forth. But it's pretty much what I mentioned yesterday. In case you missed it, I'm mentioning it again. But getting into your comments, Alex Genovese says, I think Deulofeu will be a great player for us. I definitely hope so, that he will be a great player. Like I said a few weeks ago, the guy will possibly be used as a backup to Suso at the moment, because the right wing is pretty much his position. But he could also play as a left wing. That is his second position. So we'll see if he's capable of also playing on the left side instead of Niang. This all remains to see, obviously, to be seen whether or not Deulofeu will arrive to Milan, because, like I said, contacts are still ongoing, but we are still not 100% sure that he will be arriving. But let's see if you guys have any opinions regarding the 18 million euros that I spoke about regarding his buyout option. Matt 3G says 18 is just too much. DPM also agrees with him. He says 18 is too much, but if the Chinese are real, 18 million won't be nothing, and I completely agree with that. Loris Bacco says, do you think that we offer 500,000 euros because that's all we got from the Luis Adriano deal? I'm not quite sure yet. I mean, I still haven't read any official reports considering the price tag, or at least what the transaction was with Spartak Moscow, because a lot of reports were saying it was going to be a free transfer. Some reports were saying it was going to be 1 million euros. So we still don't know exactly what the price is that Milan got. I mean, what revenue they really made from that sale. But I did see on Transfer Market that the transfer is actually supposed to be official or come into action next week on the 25th. Now, I'm not quite sure where they got that from, but if that's the case, maybe that's when we're going to know more information regarding Luis Adriano and what we actually managed to get in terms of revenue for him. But getting into more of your comments, Arjun says, Joey paid 20 million for Bertolacci, so 18 million is worth for him. Yeah, what a mistake that was though for Bertolacci, and I don't want to make mistakes like that ever again. So yeah, maybe it is worth it for him, but I still haven't seen anything from him at Milan. First of all, he's not even a Milan player, like I stated a couple of times already. But you know, those price tags is something that I need to see before actually making a final conclusion on it. Bertolacci, 20 million. I always found it was a ridiculous, a ridiculous amount of money for what we managed to get him for. Because even before he started playing for Milan, I wasn't really accepting the fact that we paid 20 million for him. Sure, he was supposed to be a greater player than what he appeared to show in the first few months or the first season with Milan. Slowly he's getting better. At least that's what I'm hoping for. But 20 million was just way too much for him. Liban Yusuf says, what's up, Gio? Not much. Hope all is good with you, man. Volcano Game says, Gabbiadini voices, are they real? Heard some reports regarding him, but something that will be possibly for the summer, not for the winter, that's for sure. Fasone and Mirabelli have a big list of names in which they're currently looking at. So yes, maybe Gabbiadini could be an option, but for what I heard, I think Napoli wants at least 20 to 22 million euros for him, if I'm not mistaken. I think it's a bit crazy for Gabbiadini, a guy that really doesn't get much playing time at Napoli. And to be honest, yes, he's lethal with his finishing, but I don't know if he's just the striker that we need. Christy says, Joe, do you think we'll make a big signing in the summer? All depends if the Chinese thing is happening or not. That's pretty much that's all I'm gonna be saying. Abdul says, I'm hoping that if we sign Deulofeu, he can play as soon as possible. We should also not forget that he hasn't played in a while and won't have complete match fitness. That's for sure, no doubt about it. And I'm personally not expecting him to be a starter, not anytime soon at least, even if he does join. Like I said, he's supposed to be a backup for Suso. He could also play on the left wing, but personally I think that Montella has his mind fixed on who should be playing in that left wing, and that is of course Giacomo Bonaventura. DJ Ram says he is worth for the moment, but I'd rather sign Bernardeschi. Not quite sure why you put a K in there. He's not Polish or anything. Jamie says maybe he could be the creative player that we need to feed the attackers. Like I said, he's definitely more known for his assists rather than the goals that he scores. If you guys take a look at his stats, he has plenty of assists for Everton. Not only this season, well, this season he actually hasn't really shown much, but in the previous seasons, if you guys take a look at that, definitely you could tell that he really assisted a lot of goals for Everton. Pasquale says Ciao Gio, 18 million euros a bit steep. According to Transfer Market, his value is 9, so maybe around 14 million would be a reasonable amount to set for further purchase. Like I said, I think it is a bit steep. It's a bit, kind of out there for a guy that hasn't played much this season. But, we'll see if Milan are able or capable of convincing Everton to lower that price tag or not for the summer if we manage to get him. Karim says if he plays good, 18 million is fine considering we're thinking about buying Keita Balde for about 25. That is why, if Deulofeu is going for 18 and Keita Balde is going for 25, I'm sorry, but I might as well buy Keita Balde instead for just a few more millions. DPM says, I just want Bernardeschi, Belotti, and Suso. Please, China. Retro Pool, what about getting Thiago Silva on a free transfer in the summer? Not quite sure about that. I haven't heard anything about free transfers with Thiago Silva, and I'm pretty sure that won't happen. If I'm not mistaken, Thiago Silva is still under contract for a while with PSG. I can make sure of that for you, but if I'm not mistaken, he's still under contract for a while. Yeah, he's still under contract until 2020. There's no way that he's going to be coming to Milan for free. Loris says, why did the Chinese cancel the Orsolini deal? He is young and Italian. I don't know. To be honest, I don't know. They were maybe not convinced about him. I don't know what it is, but even his agent, Orsolini's agent, mentioned that, Milan were one of the teams that were interested. They shown their interest in the player. At the end of the day, the Chinese, mentioned by the agent himself, weren't interested in the player anymore. And there you go. Another possible transfer target gone to Juventus. Michael Schneider says, I think if we sign Deulofeu, Montella will slide Jack back into the midfield and Deulofeu will be rotating with Niang on the left and Suso on the right. I'm not going to make a comment out of that because I simply don't think so. I think that Bonaventura is way more lethal as a winger. Yes, people say he's better as a midfielder, but I just don't see him being as a midfielder. I prefer him seeing as a winger. But that could be an option. Could definitely be an option if Montella goes with that option. Or he's considering it. I don't know. But simply I think that Deulofeu will be a backup for Suso. He can maybe be tried at the left wing, but I wouldn't really bank on it just yet. V Burger says, of all the positions we need, a striker is the least important. I guess what you're saying, that's what you're saying, and not a singer. With Bonaventura and Suso and also Honda and Niang being able to be decent subs, a midfielder or a center back would be much more important. That's a big word there you use there, decent subs. I'm not quite sure about that, man, to be honest. But yeah, I do agree on the fact with you that a midfielder or a center back would be much more important. Definitely agree with that. Luca says, who would you love to see coming in the summer? Definitely a few players. I think Keita Balde is one of them. Bernardeschi is another one. And I think they could both be complementing the wings quite well if they both arrive. I think we're going to have to go for another center back as well. At the moment, Musacchio is pretty much the name that Milan is still considering. But up until then, there could be another name coming in. Pellegrini news, haven't heard anything about that. DJ says, what about Galliani's meeting with Papu Gomez agent to sign him in the summer? Why? I heard about that. I've also been mentioning it for quite a while. Been mentioning it for the past week or so at least. I remember I mentioned something about him last week. If you guys haven't checked out that video, make sure to do that. But I'm not currently against this deal if we do get him. I think that he's capable of making a big club move finally, because he's been playing with Atalanta. He's still not that old, 28 years old. I think that's just one more year older than Bonaventura, so he's not that old. He's capable of doing good things. I really like what he's doing with Atalanta, scoring lots of goals, lots of assists. Pretty much proving to be the right player for them. But, you know, I think it's time for him to make that big club move. And at his age, I think this is the perfect time to do it. Because if you wait a few more years, then no one's going to want to sign you. Like I said, I'm not completely for the idea, but it wouldn't be a bad signing. That's also what I'm trying to say. Maybe as a backup, if we do get Keita, Balde, you know, he could be a decent backup. I don't see why not. Gianluca says, why don't we sell Honda? He's not even playing. I mention this all the time. A lot of people ask me, why don't we sell Poli? Why don't we sell Honda? Guys, if no one is interested in him, who do you want to sell him to? The dollar store? Like, guys, honestly, be honest with yourselves. If there's no interest from clubs, no one's going to be interested in buying him. So it's not as simple as selling it. If you have a jacket and it's ugly as shit and you want to be able to sell it, do you think people are going to be interested in buying it? Pretty much the same thing with Honda right now. Abdul says, Jack on the left has been amazing. Even the 2-2 draw versus Torino would have not been possible without him on the left. If we had completed the deal for Deulofeu earlier, we could have still tried for a decent CM. Yes and no. We couldn't really try for a decent CM due to the fact that we don't have the funds to go for a midfielder or anyone that costs money, since we don't have any money to play with this winter. Like, we were interested in Milan Badei, but like many of you guys are mentioning, but you know, he's not gonna come to Milan this winter. Fiorentina is valuing him around 10 to 12 million euros. Milan simply don't have that money at the moment, and Fiorentina are not gonna do any favors to anyone. It's either you have the money or you don't. That's pretty much the situation at the end of the day. Arjun says, Joe, did you read the rumor that Milan have said yes to sell Niang to West Ham on loan plus option to buy 15 million? I haven't heard about that. Which source is that coming from? Because pretty sure it's not a reliable source. If it was coming from a reliable source, I would have known about it already. So yeah, let me know the source for that if you have it. Moving on. Chris says, how long is Montolivo injured for? He should be out at least until April. I don't think he's going to be able to come back anytime before that. Yeah, transfer market is saying he's supposed to come back in April, and by the time he actually, you know, comes back and reintegrates into the squad, personally, I wouldn't really count on him to make an appearance again this season. Maybe he could play as a substitute, but don't expect him to be a starter once he comes back. What about the remaining 320 million euros from the Chinese? Which ones? I'm not quite understanding that. That's what they still need to pay to buy the club. And that's supposed to happen in March. But I'm not quite sure what you mean. Maybe a few more questions before I sign off. Laura says, if we sign Deulofeu, would you keep Niang or loan him out, sell him? I will probably sell him. There's no question about it. If we have Bonaventura and Deulofeu that could both play on that left wing, why would I keep Niang? There's no question about me keeping Niang. I will for sure sell him. Khalid says, can I know what is the option to buy for Deulofeu, and do you think that he will have a better impact than Niang? I definitely think that he's going to have a better impact than Niang. No doubt about it. The option to buy at the moment, they still haven't confirmed it. I think they're still in talks about it, but there are sources mentioning that it might be 18 million euros what Everton would want if Milan decides to buy the player in the summer. Retropool says, Galliani spent all the cash on Jose Sosa and Fernandez. Now we're with no cash for this transfer market and we're stuck with these players. What do I think of Deulofeu as a player? Personally, I haven't seen much of him, to be honest. What I mean by that, sure, I've looked at highlight videos. I've seen what he's capable of. I like him. He's a very interesting player. But if you ask me, watching him like on a weekly basis as a player for Everton, I do watch Premier League games sometimes, but I'm really not into that. So I wouldn't really be able to give you a straightforward answer. From what I saw, though, he's an interesting player. I think he could do well at Milan. He's coming from the Barcelona Academy. I don't think you can go much wrong without that, unless your name is Bojan, but that's another question. What do I expect against Napoli? I'll mention all of that tomorrow in a match preview video. Retro Pool says the 200 million euros invested were meant for Fininvest, which is the company managing Milan, and we were never intended for the transfer market. Spot on. That's exactly what it is. Exactly that. And I mentioned a couple of times already this month, people are still saying, where are the 200 million euros that Milan was supposed to get or got from the Chinese? It's going to the club, guys, for the property of the club to transfer the ownership. It's not going to be put in the transfer market. What benefit would Fininvest get out of that? Nothing at all. V Burger says Deulofeu is not going to be much better than Niang. Part of me hopes we keep Niang and hopes that he changes his form and plays like he did at the start of the season. I was loving Niang at the start. Do you think, I'm going to ask you another question now. Do you think he's going to have a better attitude and mentality than Niang? Because if that is, that already plays a big part for me. Maxi Milan says Deulofeu is going to be a force to be reckoned with in Milan, because as it is now in Milan, any player can perform in the standard that Montella has created. And as for me, I will prefer him. There you go. Different opinions from you guys. Laura says, why did Berlusconi reject the offer from the Chinese when they offered 60 million euros for this transfer window? Because it's bullshit. It was never offered, and you guys have been reading stupid reports. That's pretty much it. If I didn't mention it on the channel, it means that it didn't happen. And I said this many times. You guys, unfortunately, read many stupid sources, and you have to stick to the reliable sources. If you guys go on Milan News, if you guys go on milannews.it or Gazzetta, or you look at Sky, that's where you have to look at for sources and reliable sources. Arjun says, Gio, the source was London Evening Standard that told the news of Niang. Doesn't tell me anything, and that's not one of the top sources that I will look at for transfer news or rumors. Do you think we can beat Napoli after our average run? All depends how we show up. I think we're capable of beating any team in the Serie A. We've shown to do very well against Juventus. We can beat any team that we want in the Serie A when we want to beat them. Unfortunately, if we show up like we did against Torino, we're not going to win. We're not going to win. Simple as that. It all depends how we show up to games. At the end of the day, that's what counts. If you show up to play, then you're going to get something out of it. If you don't show up to play, good luck. Khalid says, I really don't think that GD should be costing 18 million with his form at the moment, but his talent, we could have a special gem in our hands. What do you think? Like I said, I really don't think he should be costing 18 million. He hasn't been playing this season. We're still not sure what he could deliver for us. It's a lot of money to play with. Sure, the Chinese are coming in. We might be getting even more money. But it is an option to buy, right? So we do have the choice. If it's set at that price, then we cannot do anything about it. So at least it's not an obligation to buy at that price. So I guess if he does arrive, we will have to evaluate what he could do for us this January transfer window. And if he's worth paying the 18 million, then we'll do it. If not, we can even spend 25 on Keita next summer. So I don't see us losing out on anything if he becomes the player that he's supposed to be, or he's a simple flop at Milan. So we'll see what happens. How long did Bonaventura extend his contract until 2020? Who will be the three midfielders for the match against Napoli? Like I said, I'm going to have more news on that tomorrow in the match preview. But from the looks of it, I think it will be Kuchka, Either Jose Sosa or Bertolacci in the middle. And possibly Bertolacci on the left if Jose Sosa plays in the middle. I think that's pretty much what's going to happen. But we'll see. Maybe Pasalic could get a start too. Not excluding that as well. Alright guys, that's gonna wrap it up for today's live stream. Thank you once again for joining me today. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to Rossoneri TV to stay updated with everything going on at the club on a daily basis, with daily transfer news and rumors, live streams, match previews, reviews, live stream watch-alongs, and much more for you guys to stay updated with everything AC Milan. Tomorrow, like I said, there will be the match preview for Milan-Napoli. On Saturday, we'll be having the watch-along throughout the game, followed by the match review. And that's pretty much it, guys. So once again, thank you for watching. This has been Gio, signing off from Rossoneri TV. And as always, Forza Milan!